Hi and welcome to Polly Puts the Colour On. In this video I'm going to be sharing kind of my favourite uncoloured pages from my collection. Obviously right off the bat, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, because it does make a big difference to the channel and it's lovely to have you here. So there's various different reasons why all of these pages are uncoloured, and I have tried to be careful to make sure that they're all books that I've had for kind of at least a year, if not longer. Some of these books I have had for like at least a few years now, but nothing that I'm going to be showing you are books that I've purchased this year. So that to me kind of makes it feel like it's not just a time issue that I've not got to these favourite pages. Whereas obviously if I'd bought them like in the last few months, you just say, well, it's because I've not had them long. I think out of all the books I'm going to be sharing with you, and I think it is 10, let me just double check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is the one that is the most recent addition to my collection, but I think I had this for my birthday. I'm sure it was last year. So I have had this one for over a year now. And the page that is kind of my favourite uncoloured page out of this book, it's absolutely gorgeous. The Magical Cat Store, I think this one translates to. It's kind of the same size as format as like the Eriy Sketch Mouse book and the Polar Bear Cruise and, you know, all the other ones in that series. But this is one that I don't see that much on people's channels, but it's a cat. I mean, you know, I love cats. Obviously my logo kind of gives that away. And all my memberships are named after my cats. So, you know, I just had to get this book. I've coloured a few pages in it. So I've done this double spread. This was all Prismacolors. Took ages. Well, that was well worth doing. Then while I was doing it, I carried the same colours over for the treehouse onto that one. And I think the other one that I've done so far in this book was this page with all of the different characters, and I've got written down the colours that I used for each of them so that I can use them through the book. And there's just so many gorgeous pages in this book, but kind of my favourite one that I haven't got to yet is this one, where they're kind of making all potions and there's all bottles in the background, and it just looks so sweet. There's little I think it's Bicket, isn't the cat? Yeah, Bicket and Blanca. They just look adorable. And kind of the reason I've not got to this one yet is I'm just not sure as I can do kind of the background bits justice. I know my Prismacolors work really nicely in here. Like I say, I know I've got colours for the characters. I've got an idea what I do, but it's all the glass that I'm just not quite sure how to approach, because I think I'd want them to look more like glass than I normally do. And I'm just not quite sure how to approach it yet. So that's kind of put me off from colouring this page, which is silly really, because I could at least get cracking and colour all the other bits and pieces and leave the glass till last, and then hopefully, I don't know, look up some videos or something and work it out. But yeah, I think that's the reason I've not done this, because I just want to do this page justice, because I just absolutely adore this book. It would be lovely it'd be lovely to have all my books completely coloured, but let's face it, that's not going to happen. I've got an awful lot of books, but this is one of those books, every time I look through, I think it just looks so sweet. I mean, look at them there, just adorable. So yeah, I think as much as like this one's really cute too, this is kind of the one that is my favourite out of the book. And yeah, it's because I just don't think I've quite got the skills yet to do all the glass justice. So maybe at some point I might at least get cracking on the rest of it. And then maybe when I'm feeling brave enough, I might have a try at the glass. But yeah, that's kind of why I haven't got to that one yet. So let me get that one moved out of the way and I'll get the next book ready. So I've brought you a little bit closer in for this one, because obviously this book is a little bit smaller. So we've got the Rita Berman Travel Through Africa book. This tab is just to remind me of the fact that I've not done the title page. That's not my favourite page out of this book that I've not got to yet. It's this one, and I think the reason I haven't got around to colouring this one yet, it's not so much because of skills, because I think I'd be quite happy to colour all the flowers and things. I just can't quite decide what colour scheme to go for. And I've seen a lot of different ways that this page has been coloured, some with like reds, oranges, yellows, some with like lots of pink, like loads of different ways of approaching it, you know, pastel colours. And I just don't know what I want to go for. I think that's my issue. So when eventually I decide on a colour scheme, I'll get to this one, but I don't know, I'm still not quite ready to commit to a particular set of colours, because this is probably one of my, well, the favourite page out of this book, other than the one that I've already done. Like, that was my absolute favourite page out of this book, so I did do that one first, and I had a very clear picture in my mind what colours I wanted, so I was really happy with how that one turned out. That's the only other one I've done so far in this book, which is a shame because it's absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, I do need to get to this one at some point, but like I say, I just need to work out what colours I want to do. If any of the pages that I share in this video you'd like to do a buddy colour with me on sometime, please drop me a comment down below. I can't commit to when I would do them, because obviously there is a reason that I haven't got to all of these pages yet, and although it would be nice to get them done, you know, I just, for this one, it would be lovely to get it coloured. It would be lovely to do it as buddy colour, but I don't know how long it's going to take me to decide on what colours to use. So, you know, I think you'd have to be open to potentially waiting months and months for me to get one of the pages done. Yeah, I just love this one. It's just so pretty. It's so sweet with the bird. I think that's the other issue as well. There's all the flowers. And potentially, I don't know, this is another thing. Do you just leave the zebra as it is? Do I colour it like pretty pastel colours? But then also there's the little butterfly and the bird, and I just can't decide what to do with the butterflies and the bird. Do I make them blend in? Do they stand out? I don't know. So yeah, this will be uncoloured for a while yet, I think, until I can decide what colour scheme I fancy using on that one. So yeah, I can't remember if I mentioned already, but these pages aren't in any particular order. They're just all ones that I know I really love. I know I do want the colour, but yeah, for whatever reason, you know, various reasons, just haven't got to yet. So then we've got Maria Troll's Universum. Now, I've got quite a few coloured in this one, and kind of my favourite one, I can find where the page, where's the page mark on this one? Oh, can't find it. Definitely put one in. Here it is. It's this one. And I do have a picture in my mind of how I want this one to look. And I think it's doing the sky that's the issue for me. I've got visions of it being like a really deep kind of blue, but having a bit of a glow from the moon, and then just making it look like really magical, dark but pretty. I don't know, like, I think I'm just not quite sure how to approach it. I can picture in my mind how I want it to look, thinking blues for the little flowers, maybe minty green or dark green, maybe a mixture for the leaves. Like I say, like a deep blue for the sky, but like a bit of a glow coming from the moon. And I think that's what I'm not sure of how to do that bit, especially because obviously the sky shows kind of behind all of the trees. So I can't decide what medium to use either to get the look that I'm after. So yeah, I think it's, once I decide what mediums I think would work, I might be able to get to this page, because like I say, I do have a picture in my mind of how I want it to look, but I'm just not quite sure how to actually achieve it. And because it is one of my favourite pages in the book, I just don't want to rush it and do it and then kind of feel like I've not done it justice, because there is so many really pretty pages. I mean, that one's adorable. There's so many that I'd be happy to colour, and I've already done quite a few in this one actually. So I had to play with some watercolours on the background there. Did that sweet mouse one. I've done that one. And that one was a buddy colour one. That was a lot of fun to do. And I think I've done some others in here as well. Yeah, I did that snail one as well. So I've done quite a few in here, but yeah, I just don't quite know how to get the look that I'm after for that sky on that page. So I think once eventually I work out what mediums will, you know, get me the look I'm after, I'll be ready to do that page. But yeah, that might be when I'm a bit more confident with perhaps using acrylic paint. Perhaps I need to have a bit more of a play with that. Maybe that might work. I'm not too sure yet. So then we've got Hannah Carlson. I think this one's Tale from the City Amongst the Stars. And my favourite, I really love so many pictures from this one. All of her artwork and all of her books is gorgeous. But I really love this book because it's just a bit steampunky with all of the cogs and things. And it's this one that's my favourite, this double page spread. And although I know it's not, but my first thought when I looked through the book and I saw this was like the Magic School Bus. Let me know in the comments if you can remember that show from your childhood. And I absolutely love that show, and it just gives me those vibes, and I can just imagine colouring that as the teacher from it. And I think I'm just not quite sure how to pull it off, like how to make that. I don't want to alter the page, don't get me wrong, but I'm just not quite sure how to like use the colours from the Magic School Bus to tackle this vehicle. And then I don't know, I probably would do a black sky, or at least a really dark blue. And I don't know what colour to do from here, I think is also my issue. But like, I do love it. And also I think it is the fact that it's a double page spread. So that's, although it is a smaller book, obviously that is also inherently a little bit daunting. And also you've got, I think this must be one of the like centre bits, because you have got, I can see the stitching. So I'm also not quite sure how to get a nice blend with whatever I use across that centre bit as well. But yeah, I think if I work out how I could transfer the colour scheme from the Magic School Bus onto this, I'd be well away. But yeah, just not quite sure how to do it, because there's obviously lots of little fiddly bits, and I wouldn't want it to look too chaotic. But yeah, I do want to do it justice, because it's just awesome. And if I do manage to achieve like a Magic School Bus kind of vibe, it would like really like be really nostalgic when I'm looking through. I did colour a book, colour a page recently from Hannah Carlson's Space one, and that was kind of inspired from the Magic School Bus, from the teacher in that. Because that was kind of my first thought when I saw this page. I showed it to my husband before I'd coloured it, and he was like, "Oh, Magic School Bus." I was like, "Yes, that's what I'm thinking." So I might well use kind of the same colours that I did there for the hair, the character, although that doesn't really give me much to go off, because there's very little hair to colour on this page, isn't there? The character's very, very small. So yeah, I think this is, again, kind of a colour scheme one, a bit like with the Rita Berman one. But yeah, once I kind of suss that out, hopefully I might get that one. I mean, maybe this ends up being a Space Timber in 2026 page, potentially. Because, I've had this book since it came out in, when did this one come out? 2022. So, I've had it for a few years now and still haven't got to that page yet. So potentially Space Timber next year, maybe. We'll see. Then we've got Millie Marotta's Island Escape. I've got all of her books apart from the compilation ones, and I absolutely adore her artwork. I do tend to go for colouring the images that are kind of like this style, where the animal's been made out of like petals and leaves. That's the pages that I tend to gravitate to in her books. As you can see, I have got a few done already in here. Fortunately, the watercolour ghosted through a little bit. Did that one. I love the colour scheme on that one. I quite often use the colour palette that Amanda Colour shares each month to help me colour in the pages in Millie Marotta's books, because it just works so nicely. I can get the Prismacolors that are suggested and just use those to colour it. Sometimes I do a background, quite often I don't. I might add a bit of washi tape and call it a day, and it is a really nice kind of simple way of approaching Millie Marotta's artwork. But kind of one of my favourite sets of pages from Millie Marotta is this one with the seals. And I think the reason I've not done this is, aside from the fact it's a double page spread, so obviously it is a little bit of a big undertaking, because I do normally tend to colour these pages where, like I say, the animals are made out of the leaves and the flowers. Obviously, these have got patterns on, and yes, I know I can colour it as blocks because I've done that before. But I'm just not quite sure how to do the water on this one, I think is my issue. I think I'd be happy enough doing the trees and the ground and the seals and the sky, because there's not a lot of sky. It's the water. I just don't know what to do for the water. like, do I use paint? Do I use pencils? But pencil, like, it's a really big area, so I'm not sure about using pencils because it take ages. I'm not sure as my Inktet, because I don't think I've used Inktense before in Millie Marotta's books. I know I've used watercolour pencils and they worked okay, but they did go through a little bit on the back. That may have been how much water I added, in fairness. But I'm not too sure how this paper would withstand kind of water-based mediums, which might mean I've got to do it with pencil or maybe acrylic paint. And, you know, I've not had much practice with acrylic paint. I got some for my birthday and I've tried them, you know, I've swatched them, I've used them once, and then kind of been a bit stuck with time, to be honest, with work and, you know, summer holidays, away with family, you know, life. Just haven't had much time to sit and play with my paints and get confident with them. And this is a big area. And if I just painted it a flat colour with the acrylic paint, I think it would look rubbish. I think I'd need to be more confident to add waves or patterns or something to it with the paint. So I just, yeah, I don't know how to do the water, I think is the answer on this one. Again, a bit like with the Magical Cat Store page, perhaps I just need to push myself and at least colour the seals and the trees and the ground. And then I could always leave the water for a while. I don't know. But I kind of feel like I might start with the water, especially if I was using acrylic paint, because at least if I fluffed up the water, I could just go with maybe not bothering colouring the rest of it and abandon it. But also I don't tend to abandon my pages. I tend to push through and make sure they're finished, even if it ends up taking a while, because I don't like half finished pages in my book. It makes me not want to colour in that book again until it's finished, if that makes sense. Like if I know it's a kind of ongoing whip and it's something that I'll come back to at some point, that's different. But kind of in terms of if it was like an abandoned, oh, I'm really not happy with it kind of page, yeah, I want to get them finished. I want to know what I'm doing. So I think that's kind of the reason I've not got to this one, because I don't know how to do the water. So if you've got any, you know, suggestions of videos where maybe somebody's showing a simple way of how to colour water, you know, not using alcohol markers or anything, because obviously it is double-sided, you know, any suggestions would be greatly received to maybe give me the skills and the confidence to tackle that double page spread. So then we've got a Kanoko Igusa book. Now I've got quite a few of hers and they're all absolutely gorgeous. I've had this one for quite a while now, and the page that I kind of really love is this one. It is obviously one of the simpler pages, so it definitely isn't time that's, you know, held me back from colouring this. It's the flowers, and I can't quite decide the colours. I think the bunny I would probably colour like a deep brown colour, because we had our eldest bunny, Ernie. He sadly passed away in June, so I would probably colour it a deep brown colour like he was, kind of in memory of him. I don't know how to do the flowers. Kind of my style of colouring flowers normally lends itself better to like the cartoon or the simpler versions like Johanna Basford and kind of other illustrators do, like Rita Berman. It's all these details and working out which bit's which as well, I think, is the issue there. So maybe once I feel a bit more confident on what colours as well as how to approach these flowers, maybe I'll get to this, because I think this could be a really cute one to do, and it probably wouldn't take too long once I sat down to do it, but we'll see. So yeah, this one perhaps might be more likely to get coloured in the next year or two, hopefully, but yeah, it's those flowers, I think, that's the issue, and they're such a big chunk of the page, aren't they? Like doing the rabbit, doing his fur, quite happy to do. How I colour fur isn't necessarily the most realistic, but it works for me and I'm happy with how it turns out. The clothes, I'm happy enough how to do those. It's the flowers. I think one of the other pages I've done in this one, I've done a couple, I think, so far. Like I've done that one. I loved that one. I was quite happy with how that one turned out. I know he's quite a bit brighter than she is with terms of his clothing, so it's a bit clashy, but I kind of feel like, you know, the dating and they've not quite worked out how to fully match, you know, their outfits yet, but they were trying. You know, there's a similarity with the greens. I don't know. I quite like how it turned out there. And I think one of the other, I've done many in this one. One of the other ones I did the other year for Halloween was this one. I really love how this turned out. Like, there's a lot of the Sakura black glaze pen used there. Really pleased with how that one turned out. So it would be nice to get another page done in here, but yeah, I just don't know how to do those flowers and what colours to do them either, so that they don't clash or that they don't all just blend into each other. I think that's my worry, that if I used too many colours that were similar, it just kind of all smush into one and you wouldn't really be able to tell what's what. So that's that book there by Kaneko Gissa. Then we've got another Hannah Carlson one, this time Spirit Animals. And again, there's loads of gorgeous pages in this one, but the main one that I really, really like out of this book is this double page here. And it's How to Colour Her. And if you've ever watched What We Do in the Shadows, it's brilliant kind of dark comedy. It's absolutely hilarious. Love it. There's Nadia that's in there, and this kind of just gives me those vibes. And it's how to do the hair that's my problem, because I don't tend to colour hair particularly realistically. Quite often I'll just do like an Inktense base and then just bring a little bit of shading in here and there. And I think for how I'm picturing the hair looking, like really nice and like black hair, really nice and glossy, I don't know how to do that. I'm just a bit worried it's just going to look like a big mass of black and it just not look right. Like, it's just going to overpower the image. So I think I need to have a practice, maybe on some smaller portraits, on how to do the hair. Like, I'm not very confident in doing portraits either, but there's not a huge amount of skin. So I think if I work out how to do the hair, I'll be okay giving it a go for the skin, especially because I can just, she's a vampire. I can make her skin really pale. So that's not too much of an issue. It's the hair. And then obviously I can bring the colours over to here. So once I've done this page I think would be quite simple, because I just do these bat wings. I do the same colours over here, and then it doesn't leave too much else to do. It's this hair. I think I need to spend the time watching some videos on how to do hair and have a practice. But I'm not sure as I've got the patience. Like, some people really love colouring things like that, don't they? And it's not for me. Like, don't like polychromos pencils. I've got a couple, had a try, and I was like, oh, I'm bored. It's too much layering for me. I'm very much more kind of a quick and simple, smushy kind of pencil girl, which is why I love my Prismacolors. Although, having said that, I do like the Castle Art Soft Touch pencils, and they are relatively hard. You do need to layer them a little bit. But yeah, I think it's this hair. I need to get practicing with hair, and then when I feel like I can do this page justice, I'll come to this. Perhaps Halloween next year, because it would be nice. Although I could do this any time of the year, couldn't I? But yeah, definitely Nadia from What We Do in the Shadows. Comment down below if you've watched that show. And if you haven't watched it, I thoroughly recommend catching it. I think it has been on Disney Plus. I'm sure it is still on there. But yeah, it's just so funny, and there's quite a few seasons as well, actually. So if you've not watched it before, it's definitely something that you'll be able to binge watch for a little while. Then we've got Eerie. Now, I've got, I think, pretty much all of the Eerie books, and so many gorgeous pages that I'd love to colour one day. But kind of my favourite one is this one. Now, I know there is another page in, I think it's Romantic Country. Which one's this one? This one's Romantic Country, the first tale. I think it might be in the second tale. There's another one with the bear, and he's like in a library, and there's even more books. Like, I think that page looks really cool as well. But this one is kind of my favourite, with it having all like the, having the little teacup with the little bear on and things. Like, I think this page is just so cute. And obviously you've got the little cat sat there, and it's just so sweet, all the little details on it. And what I'm not sure of is A, what colour scheme to use for the books without it looking, too boring or, too chaotic. And also, I just don't know what to do for the background. I feel like it would need a bit of a background, but like, I don't know. So I think, again, it comes to colours for this one. I think if I can work out what colours to use and maybe get a palette of, a handful of pencils, obviously I could just work through, doing a few books, making sure that the colours are all spread out. I'm thinking blues for the book. That's kind of what I keep coming back to. And then I think, I don't know, would all blues look a bit boring? Maybe I need to bring some red, but I think that might look a bit angry. So maybe burgundy. I don't know. or blues and greens. I don't know. Give me ideas of colour palettes down below, perhaps, because it would, I think this would, although there's a lot, like I say, I think if I picked out a handful of colours and had just a few colour combinations of pencils to use, and, you know, just make sure that they kind of dotted about, I think it would be relatively straightforward to colour. It's just working out what colours to use. Definitely blue, I think, but I just can't quite work out what else to put with it. Maybe browns, like an antique kind of muted light brown. I don't know. Maybe you're a bit better at colours and you might be able to give me some suggestions in the colour in the comments down below. Kind of picture him as, and also I can't decide whether to do him as a polar bear or as a brown bear. Kind of feel like a brown bear might work better, but I don't know. Then the only thing I know what colours I would use is the little cat and the little duck, because I do have colour combinations written down for them that I use elsewhere. So kind of I coloured him at the start of the book. I'm sure, is it in this one I've got a cat coloured? No, one of the romantic country. Yes, in here I've coloured the little cat, and I wrote down what colours I used. I think it was Castle Art soft touch pencils I've tended to use in this book. So I've got different combinations written down. I think I've got them written down for like the trees and the leaves and all sorts. But yeah, I just can't decide what colours to use for those books. So any suggestions, gratefully received. I mean, I might not go with them, but it would be useful to just have some ideas to go with. And then the last couple of pages I've got to share are from Johanna Basford books. So we've got World of Flowers, and my favourite pages, where's the tab gone, from this one is this double page. So partly it is because it is a double page, and obviously that is a big undertaking, but also, again, like some of the other pages, I've got a very clear picture in my mind of what I want it to look like, and I just don't know how to do it. I think I saw a picture a few years ago, and I can't remember whether it was on this page or it was a different page, but anyway, it had been done as like a stained glass. So kind of all, basically most of the line work had been done in like black, and then patterns had been drawn in to make it look as if it was like stained glass panels behind the flowers. I can't remember if it's a flower or a beetle page, but this is kind of what I'm picturing in my head, of like using black and then drawing in stained glass bits. But then I wouldn't know how to colour the flowers, I think, is my issue. Like doing black in those bits, it'd be fine. Drawing patterns in, I think I could give that a go and just colouring the line work in black, and then I could use, you know, various colours to add, you know, stained glass, you know, panels in behind. It's how I would colour the flowers then. Would I colour them like relatively realistic, or colour them, I guess, like they look like glass, which I think is my issue? Then I just don't know how I'd do the flowers. So perhaps this is going to have to be another one where I just get going and I do the bits that I know how I want to do, and then try and work out the flowers after. But I don't know. I've got in my head what I want it to look like, and I just don't know how to get it onto paper. So I don't know. It might be at some point you see this on a Winging It Wednesday video, perhaps, where I just have a go at adding the stained glass in, see how it goes. I mean, it could be that I'd at least just start on one panel, and then if I don't like it, I don't know, I can acrylic paint over the background or something, I don't know, to try and rescue it. As it would be really nice to have this double page done, because I've had this book, I don't think I got it quite when it came out, when it printed 2018. I don't think I got this one quite when it came out, but I have had it for quite a while. I think I maybe got it a year after it came out. But yeah, I just don't quite know how to achieve this. So the final book that I've got to share with you of my favourite uncoloured pages is by Johanna Basford again, and it's Magical Worlds. And it's this page, which is by far my favourite page out of the whole book. The little fox, his little face is just adorable. And I know exactly why I've not coloured this page yet. It's all the flowers. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't mind colouring flowers. It's the fact that there's so many tiny ones. I think, like, I'm sure if I just got going, I could just do a few a day and maybe chip away at it over a period of time. But that's definitely what's putting me off from this, that I just can't be bothered doing all of the flowers as much as I really want to do the fox and have a really pretty kind of wreath of flowers around him. I'm kind of picturing the fox as orange like I normally do it, and then kind of peachy, orangey, yellow, pinky kind of colour scheme around the edge, and kind of very muted leaves. Like I know my colours, that's fine. It's just all the little teeny tiny bits. I'm not one for colouring really fiddly bits. Like I don't mind a little bit of fiddly bits on the page. It's just the fact there's so much. Like I know that's exactly why I've not coloured this page yet. So maybe I just need to, again, just get started at some point. It could be one of those that I just have the pencils to one side on my desk, or pens if I decide to use pens, and just do a few a day. Literally just spend 5 minutes a day and just very slowly chip away at it. I guess that would make it far more manageable rather than thinking, ugh, I've got to work on this page till it's done, which is kind of how I always used to do my pages. I very much would start a page, finish that page before I moved on to the next one. Whereas I am getting a little bit better now at having a few projects on the go. So maybe I could add this in at some point, because this is definitely one that could be a bit of a long-term whip. Like I say, if I picked out the colours, I could just keep them to one side, and five minutes a day, or even every other day, or once a week or something, I could just chip away and get a bit done. And I guess it probably would come together relatively quickly then, but we'll see. So that's the final one of my favourite uncoloured pages. So thank you very much to all of the other people that I have watched their favourite uncoloured videos of. I think it was originally started by Geordie Colours, but I know I have watched it on quite a few people's channels, like Colouring with Kate. So I'll link as many channels as I can in the description down below of other people who've done this tag, because it is very much appreciated. It's such a great idea, and I've really enjoyed watching other people's videos because it's given me ideas of like, oh yeah, actually I'd forgotten about that page, or I'd forgotten about that book, and it's just kind of interesting to get an insight into why people haven't coloured their favourite pages, because quite often it isn't just time. There is lots of other reasons, like not knowing what colours to use, or obviously how to actually colour certain elements. There's all sorts of things, isn't there? So thank you very much if you watched to the end. Maybe if you have watched the end, perhaps you could add the book emoji down below, because obviously I've got 10 books in front of me. Obviously, please like and subscribe if you're enjoying the channel so that you don't miss out on future videos. Especially you might see these pages cropping up at some point on either completed page videos or maybe a Winging It Wednesday video. They're not going to be every Wednesday, but they will be relatively frequently, like at least once a month, maybe a couple of times a month, depending on how often I have a go at winging it and trying different mediums, different techniques, colouring different things that I don't normally get around to colouring. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Take care, everyone, and I'll catch you in the next one.